Okay, it's Mother's Day today, so we're going to celebrate for all the mothers who are debt-free or aspiring to be debt-free, right? Debt-free mom. Look at how happy she is. Debt-free mom. All right. Which is unfortunately not the case when you go to TikTok. I always see a lot of moms on TikTok who are struggling with debt. But anyways, let's go ahead and learn how to pay off debt using what we call the velocity method. And instead of calling average American banking, maybe we should just call it average mother banking. And velocity, what do we call this? Mother method? I don't know if that sounds right, but we'll just put mother in because that's the theme of this video. So whether you're a mother, father, whoever, finance doesn't really care about your gender for the most part. I think finance does care if you're Armenian or not, kind of as a side tangent, because I think Citibank, Armenian last name, they got fined because they would actually reject Armenian applicants. Okay, but my point is this: I don't think finance cares about gender, but they might discriminate you in other ways that they're not supposed to. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with paying off debt using the velocity method. I'll just take this out. Sounds kind of weird. And what do we do with the velocity method? Basically, we intentionally don't save money, right? And so here we have someone, we'll just call it doctor, average doctor mother banking, someone who's a doctor and a mother at the same time, and has a $220,000 student loan. Okay, and 10 credit cards, right? So we've been kind of living it up. And I heard this is actually common with medical students or medical graduates, where because they've sacrificed so long for like the first 20 to 30 years of their life, now it's time to go splurge and go crazy, right? So 10 credit cards, a modest auto loan, a huge student loan, and a modest house, right? And then after all debts, we have $3,000 a month of personal expenses. Okay. Now we only have a penny left over. So as a mother who is a doctor, hopefully maybe we have a spouse who adds to this income and we're not just a penny left over. But let's just assume at an individual level, we're a penny left over. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to copy the income and copy the expenses. Okay. And what we're going to do in this side is be intentional about our checking and savings. Intentionality. So the difference between this side and this side is that on the first column, we treat our checking account as the final destination of our money, and we want to save money, right? That's why the penny is there, because we think it's a good thing for us to save money. Whereas with the velocity method, aka what we used to call velocity banking, but can't do that anymore because the state is cracking down hard on it. But the state of Illinois, we're actually being intentional that we should not save money, right? And what would happen is that our entire income will go into something called a line of credit. And so if you don't know what a line of credit is, it's basically a financial tool where you can borrow money, pay back, and then use it over and over again. So basically a credit card is a form of a line of credit, but it's a little restrictive. Like if you dump your entire paycheck into one credit card and you use it to try to pay a student loan or another credit card, that is difficult. Lots of friction there. So let's assume we have a $200,000 home equity line of credit, which means that you've offered your home as collateral and it has something called equity. And if you don't know what equity is, it's basically the market value of your home, which any competent real estate agent would be able to calculate based on the recent comparable sales of the neighborhood. So basically your house is worth what the house across the street sold for, right? And they say, hey, your house is worth 300,000. You currently have a $200,000 loan, so you have $100,000 equity. So home value minus any associated debts to the house is your equity. And when the bank looks at that and they say you have income, what they're seeing is that, oh, we can take your house and you're going to be a predictable borrower if you screw up, right? Like if you decide that you've made bad choices and you're unable to pay the debt, okay, they'll be able to take the house back and then sell it and foreclose, right? Now the bank doesn't want to foreclose because uh, foreclosure looks bad on their books, right? Like if they have a home on their assets that they've taken back, that makes them look really, really bad. So they'll do anything to make sure that they don't take back the house. And now I know that sounds like, contrary to what most people think when it comes to real estate. The bank doesn't want to hold real estate. No, but then so some people are thinking, well, why would, I'd love to hold real estate. And I think you see a lot of YouTubers nowadays who are like real estate gurus saying like, I don't want to own rental property anymore. So I'll go on that a little bit later. But what I'm saying is this is that they'll give you, let's say, almost like a $200,000 credit card because you have a home and you have something called equity, right? Now, quick question for all of you. If you only have a penny left over and you have all this debt, okay, you have all this debt, um, will the bank lend you a line of credit that's free and clear? The answer to that is no, because banks don't lend money to people who need it. But what I also like to show is that if you had this line of credit right now, this would have been the ultimate savior. Now, when I get realistic numbers, what happens is that people have lines of credit and then it's just maxed out. And so, yes, you have the tool, that's awesome, but if you had known this strategy, you probably would never be in the situation you're in, right? But I love to show free and clear lines of credit because you could see the wow factor in just being able to borrow more money um, with a tool that's a lot more flexible than, let's say, a credit card or a loan. Okay. Now, what we do is we calculate the cash flow index, and if you don't know what that is, it's the debt amount, right, divided by the monthly payment, and then it gives you this number, and you do this for all of your debts. Okay, you do this for all of your debts. All right, and then yeah, so you do this for all of your debts, and then think of this as a ranking system for debt payoff. Okay, the lower the number, that's the one you want to pay off first because low cash flow index means when you move the debt into a line of credit, you get a lot of bang for your buck if the number is low. Whereas here, if the number is high, you get very little bang for your buck, right? So think about this. I have to give someone $330,000 for $1,500 of cash flow. Only 1,500, right? Whereas I could pay off maybe this credit card and this credit card, and that's over $2,000 of cash flow, so it's only 65K. So what do you think makes more sense? 65,000 for 330,000, I'm sorry, for over $2,000 of cash flow, or 330,000 for about $1,500 of cash flow. Okay? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to move these low ranking cash flow index numbers to the line of credit, and then we're going to just do this, and that's $164,000. So we summed up the balances of the credit cards, and this is my favorite part of me doing the spreadsheet. Okay, so let's say we just did a balance transfer of these credit cards into a line of credit, and take a look at this. Oh my goodness, these 10 credit cards go to zero, and we literally, this doctor, happy Mother's Day, doctor. In fact, I have members of my family who are doctors. My cousin is a doctor, and she's a mother too. I hope she's not in too much debt, but she literally from a penny to $5,160.72 of cash flow. Say what? Yeah, think about this. How many Mother's Day cycles have you been through? What, it's probably for however long you've been alive, right? With your own mother. And what if your own mother taught you this, or you taught this to your mother, right? A lot of people struggling with finance and debt. A lot of people struggling. So you see that if we can teach each other how to go from a penny to $5,160.72, what does that say about how banking works and how they make money? I mean, they're literally draining, at least in this instance, $5,000 of your life force, right? $5,000 of your life force is funding the banks every single month. Okay. Now, the final step is you're going to make sure that because we're not interested in saving money, you're going to treat your line of credit as your quote new savings account. So, what we're going to do is put our entire paycheck. It doesn't matter whether you get paid weekly, bi weekly, monthly, it doesn't matter because, it doesn't, right? Like, I know people ask these questions as if, like, when you get paid really matters that much. And I don't think it does. I haven't seen any evidence that it does. But I know that sometimes you can get in trouble for paying people in the wrong pay period. As an employer, saw that as a news story. But the anyway, enough tangents. The last step is you put your entire paycheck, this 12 grand, into a line of credit, take your expenses out, and then rinse and repeat over and over again. So after every single month, $5,000 would be the amount that the line of credit balance should decrease approximately. Okay. And how do we calculate that? It's really easy. So we just get the next month here. Next month's balance is based on the previous month's balance, previous month's interest minus whatever the current cash flow is. So that's 5160. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to take the average daily balance, multiply by the interest rate, and then divide by 12. Okay? Oh, I screwed up. I need to put a period instead of a comma. Okay? Hold on. Did I screw up? Did this freeze on me? Oh my goodness, this is freeze on me. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. We fixed it. All right, so 0.08 divided by 12, that's how we get the interest. And then I'm going to copy and paste all of this. Okay, so we're going to do this. And then, yeah, so this is going to be 36 months. 36 months. And we paid off all the credit cards. See how easy that was? Isn't that the best Mother's Day gift ever? Paying off your 160 whatever $1,000 of credit cards, $164,000 in about 3 years, and we were broke as a joke with a penny left over. Yeah, I know. So 36 months, 164K. And then I'll just speed through this because I already made kind of like 3 videos today, but I want to just close it off or close the day off with another one because it's Mother's Day. I mean, we had one related to church because today's Sunday, another one related to who knows what, and then now Mother's Day video. So here we have auto loan, student loan, and the mortgage. So luckily we have the loan calculator right here, where all we have to do is just paste or input the current month, and then you see right here these are the current balances, right? And then this is the cash flow index at the 36 month marker. And so what we do is just take the lowest one, right? So I know a lot of people will focus on this 7% interest rate, right? The student loan is at 7%. That's what the avalanche method says, right? And I'm going to tell you that once this loan is gone, it'll just make your life a lot easier. Okay, it's only $9,000 and we get $400 of cash flow for that $9,000, whereas we have to pay $169,000 for $2,500 of cash flow. So this will give you more bang for your buck. Remember, interest is not only about just the interest rate, it's also about volume and time. It's also about volume and time. So let me go ahead and paste this, right? So this is going to be plus 9197.3. That's the amount that's in the auto loan. And then so now we get a $400 cash flow increase. And now, so now our cash flow is about $5,556.03, and let me go ahead and increase that. I don't think this is going to make a difference in the debt payoff because look at that. I didn't even increase the cash flow and it got paid off in 2 months. So I think it will slightly decrease the interest. So remember this right here, $32. So let me just increase the cash flow, 556.03. Yeah, it literally decreased the interest by about $1, I think. Yeah, 33.2, and then to 31.88. So every dollar helps, right? So that's folks. That's the secret to not paying off debt. It's not saving money. All right. So now the next one. So this is what month is this? 38 months. All right. So 38 months. It's 164 plus 22. So it's 186K, right? 186K. And then we have our student loan and the mortgage, right? So now at 38 months, what is so 38, 38, right? So this is zero, and then this is the mortgage balance, and I'm sorry, the student loan balance. Now we can move the student loan to a line of credit. We can move the mortgage into a line of credit. Does that mean that's a good thing? No, no. We have to kind of use a little bit of common sense, right? Um, so if we have a 7% loan and we move into 8% line of credit, we might end up paying a little bit more interest. And we also have to think about this cash flow index number, right? So the reason why you don't want to move a 4% 30-year mortgage, aka a high cash flow index number, is that you're literally moving this huge loan with small cash flow from 4 to 8%, right? So you're going to end up paying a lot more interest, because one of the reasons why we could have moved this 3% loan into a 8% line of credit is because, remember, interest is not just about the interest rate, it's about volume and time. Okay, so even if we didn't increase that cash flow, we paid it off in about 2 months, and even when we did, you see it made a small dent in the amount of interest that we paid. Okay, so don't just think about the interest rate, and just don't think about, oh, moving every loan into a line of credit is good. Okay, but for this demonstration, I'm going to be a little bit lazy and then move the student loan into a line of credit. Okay, because I'll just demonstrate how I would pay off the mortgage. So 103.35 with what we call the sweep method, or the chunking method, whatever you want to call it. But you see that when we move the whole loan into the line of credit, and the reason I can do this is because the interest rate is very similar, right? It might be a point off. We might be paying a little bit more, but don't worry about it. We got that extra cash flow. So let's just do this. Somebody goes, is it $8,000 my cash flow? No, something seems wrong. Something seems wrong. What did I do wrong? No way. $8,000 my cash flow? Okay. So minus 81110.42. Okay. Let's go ahead and pay it off. And then now it's 60 months, right? 60 months. And then yeah, so it's paid off. So 60 months, and that's 186 plus 220, 406K. Okay, so now 30-year mortgage. So we have two methods to pay off the 30-year mortgage. Number one is extra payments, right? So extra payments is the default. And a synonym that I have for extra payments is that it's the option that nobody does, the default option that nobody does. So why don't people do it? It's because it's decision fatigue, right? So think about it. Like every time you overpay a loan and even a credit card, what happens is that there's friction in how your money moves, because you can't use a loan or a credit card to pay off other things if you've overpaid it, right? Except for with the credit card with general expenses, yes, but can you use a credit card to pay another credit card? Can you use it to pay a loan? Not really. You do balance transfers in plastique, but that's going to be a lot harder than you think it would be. So basically, that's why we say, hey, just always pay a line of credit, because you almost can't go wrong there. And even if you're dealing with a 30-year mortgage, you can still use a line of credit. Just sweep a small amount of the loan into the line of credit. And the reason why this is actually much easier to execute is because your mindset is really just making sure that your checking account and your line of credit just go to zero. And so if that happens, then how much thinking do you have to do? Not much, right? And the reason why most people fail in their goals is because they have to think too much. And if you have to do extra payments, I mean, think about all the things that you have to think about. And most people, they say, well, yeah, I have $2,000 left over, but what if I need an extra $100? Oh, extra $100, I'm going to use a credit card. Now I'm splitting my money into two places, right? And one of the reasons why this has been so easy so far is because we have literally been putting our money into one place, aka the line of credit, right? Just make your life easy. So a lot of times people get skeptical about this, and I guess okay, but let's just do this. Let's move 16,000 of this mortgage into a line of credit. Okay, I'm going to move 16,000. Right, with our doctor salary, this should definitely be enough. And you see how the 16,000 got paid off in 2 months, and it only costs us $60 per month to use that line of credit, even though it's 8%, right? And you just rinse and repeat over and over again. So bam, another 16, another 16. Next thing you know, your mortgage is gone, right? So that's what we're going to do here. All I got to do is just put in the numbers. So this is what I call the chunking or the sweep calculator. Maybe I'll just put sweep amount instead of chunking. Yeah, let's just call it the sweep. I think that sounds better. AI came up with the term, so I like it. You know what I use AI for? It's just whenever I have thoughts in my head, but I don't want to take the time to like make it sound good. That's what AI is for. Yeah. How do I make this pleasing to hear or to read? Okay. All right. So now, what's the current month that we're at? We're at month 60, right? So now what we do is just put in the numbers. We have 330,000 298,476.69. Interest rate is 430, and then it was the payment amount 1575.47. 1575.47. And then let's just do a $16,000 sweep. And usually the lower the sweep, the better, but it's not always true. Like I've seen it where it costs a little bit more when you do smaller sweeps, but I just say have a rule of thumb. If you can do 2 times the cash flow, you should be fine. Okay, so now let me just do this. So the expenses is everything except for the loan we're trying to pay off. So that'll be 3,000. And then what's the expenses? The this one, the income 12685. 0.89, and then what is our current? Oh, we did that. So bam, 2.8 years. I mean, yeah. So paying off a mortgage in 2.8 years, and I know this seems kind of crazy, but I did it. 2 years and 9 months. Is that 2.8 years? I don't even know. But I paid mine off in 2 years and 9 months. So, okay, well, so this is now zero. And then for our debt payoff, this is 60 plus 3, no, 60 divided by 12 plus 2.8. Okay, 7.8 years. And then we are debt free, right? So how much is that? That's about 40. That's 406 plus 330. So 736K. 736K. This is the best Happy Mother's Day present. Oopsie, not preset. It's not a music playlist. Present ever. Okay. All right. Okay, well, that's it for today, folks. This is Craneland to Mentorship. Happy Mother's Day, and I'll see you on the next one. Will be the last recording of the day. Bye bye.